Work in hand actually found its roots very early on in the Sumerian chariot cultures. They actually, way before Christ, trained war horses to fight, and they would put themselves behind the horse on long lines, and they would train him to turn on the release of a rein and with the pressure of a whip indication, or to mark around their bodies. So the horses turned, and that's how they fought circles around the other cultures. The Hittites and Mitannis then took it on, as did the Egyptians. Later on, the culture translated itself to be expressed on horseback, and people started fighting their battles in close contact against infantry, foot soldiers, and also against other cavalry. In about the 1500s, 1600s, there were a couple of riding academies, one run by Federico Grisoni in Naples, and there's the first recorded lessons of pillar work with horses. And it's fascinating to see that then it evolved into an actual training technique way back in the 18th century, when the Riding Academy of the School of Versailles was formed, which is the basis of the current day Spanish riding school and the Cadre noir. You saw that none of the riders were allowed to actually approach the young horse training without having done some of this work in hand. Why? Because you cannot form a horse correctly if you do not study the horse's perfect form. So they taught a horse perfect form through the work in hand in a movement. Each horse became a specialist of a war movement, and each student was then taught that movement on the specialist horse, first in hand on the ground, and then in the pillars, and then mounted. So the horse then did not suffer from the rider's ineptitude, because the rider had already learnt to first perceive the horse's balance changes with his eyes on the ground, react to it, and then adjust his position in the pillar work to help the horse achieve the balance necessary for the execution of the movement. And then, only then, was he allowed to go in the middle of the riding school, known as the manège, and execute the air on command from his seat under saddle.